A hospital's laboratory is the heart of its diagnostic capabilities. Dreams Plus Institute presents this to you to explain how the project manager has to apply his project management approach to make the project successful. The Laboratory Information System, or LIS, is the digital backbone that ensures this heart beats with precision, efficiency, and unwavering compliance. Embarking on an LIS implementation is, honestly, a significant undertaking. The objective is not merely to install new software. It's to deliver a fully compliant, highly efficient system that empowers clinicians and improves patient care, all within a defined timeframe and a strict budget. Achieving this requires more than just technical expertise. It demands a structured, disciplined approach rooted in the fundamental principles of project management. This case study illustrates how such a project can be successfully navigated from its inception to its final delivery. The success of any complex project rests upon a framework of interconnected disciplines. We refer to these as the 9 pillars of project management: scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders. These are not separate, isolated functions to be managed in a vacuum. Instead, they are deeply integrated components of a single, cohesive system. A change in scope, for instance, will inevitably impact the schedule and cost. A risk, if it materializes, could strain resources and compromise quality. Effective project management is the art and science of balancing these pillars, ensuring that they work in harmony toward a common goal. This integrated approach is the only reliable way to manage the inherent complexities of a healthcare IT project. Imagine building a modern hospital without a detailed architectural blueprint. The result would be chaotic, inefficient, and unsafe. Similarly, managing an LIS implementation without a robust project management framework is a recipe for failure. The 9 pillars provide this blueprint, guiding every decision and action throughout the project's lifecycle. They ensure that every task is aligned with the strategic objectives, that every dollar is accounted for, and that every stakeholder is heard and engaged. This systematic approach transforms a potentially overwhelming endeavor into a manageable, predictable process, providing business leaders with the confidence that their investment will yield the expected returns in reliability and operational excellence. This case study will walk you through the entire life cycle of an LIS implementation project, from the initial idea to the final handover. We will examine each phase: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closure, and demonstrate how the 9 pillars were meticulously integrated at every step. Through practical examples and real-world scenarios, we will see how tools and techniques were applied to define the scope, build a realistic schedule, control costs, and ensure the highest standards of quality. The ultimate lesson for any business leader is clear: disciplined, integrated project management is not an administrative burden. It is the most powerful catalyst for delivering successful projects that create lasting value for the organization. The initiation phase is where a project is born. For our hospital LIS project, this began with a clear business need. The existing system was outdated, inefficient, and posed a compliance risk. The first step was to formalize this need into a project charter. This crucial document served as the project's official birth certificate, outlining the high-level objectives, key deliverables, and preliminary budget. We immediately began to address the 9 pillars. For stakeholder management, we conducted initial interviews with key figures: the chief medical officer, the head of pathology, the IT director, and senior lab technicians, to understand their needs and expectations. This early engagement was critical for building buy-in from the very beginning. With the charter approved, we established the initial framework for each pillar. A preliminary scope was defined, focusing on the core functionalities required, such as sample tracking, results reporting, and integration with the hospital's main electronic health record system. For cost management, a rough order of magnitude budget was developed based on historical data from similar projects, providing a financial baseline. Communication planning started with creating a stakeholder register and a basic communication matrix, outlining who needed what information and how often. This simple step prevented early misunderstandings and set a precedent for transparent dialogue throughout the project's life. Simultaneously, we began to address risk. An initial risk register was created, capturing high-level threats such as potential data migration failures, vendor reliability issues, and resistance to change from laboratory staff. This was not an exhaustive list, but it served as an early warning system. For resource management, we identified the need for a dedicated project manager and key subject matter experts from the lab and IT departments. Procurement was also considered at this stage. We initiated a market scan of potential LIS vendors to understand the available options, their capabilities, and their general pricing structures, which fed back into our initial cost estimates. The initiation phase concluded with a formal project kickoff meeting. This event brought together all identified stakeholders to review and approve the project charter. The project manager presented the high-level scope, the preliminary schedule milestones, and the initial budget. The importance of each person's role was emphasized, solidifying the project team and reinforcing the collaborative spirit needed for success. By addressing all 9 pillars, even at a high level, we ensured the project started on solid ground. This foundational work provided the clarity and authority needed to move confidently into the detailed planning phase, armed with a clear mandate and a shared understanding of the goals. The planning phase is where the high-level vision from initiation is transformed into a detailed, actionable roadmap. This is, honestly, the most intensive phase for integrating the 9 pillars, as each decision directly influences the others. For scope, we moved from a high-level statement to a detailed work breakdown structure, or WBS. This tool decomposed the entire project into smaller, manageable work packages, such as LIS software configuration, data migration, and user training. Each package had a clear owner and defined deliverables, leaving no room for ambiguity about what was in or out of scope. This granular detail was essential for accurate planning across all other pillars. With the WBS as our foundation, we developed the project schedule. Using project management software like Microsoft Project, we sequenced all activities, identified dependencies between tasks. For example, hardware installation must precede software installation, and estimated the duration for each work package. This process resulted in a detailed Gantt chart, which provided a visual timeline for the entire project. For cost management, we created a detailed bottom-up budget by assigning costs to each work package in the WBS. This included software licenses, hardware, consultant fees, and internal resource time. A contingency reserve was also added to the budget to account for identified risks, linking the cost and risk pillars directly. Quality planning was addressed by defining specific metrics and acceptance criteria for each major deliverable. For example, we specified that the system must have a 99.9% uptime and that patient data retrieval should take less than 3 seconds. A quality management plan was created, outlining the processes for quality assurance and control, including plans for unit testing, integration testing, and user acceptance testing. Resource planning involved creating a detailed resource management plan, identifying every individual needed, their roles, responsibilities, and the time commitment required. This was visualized using a resource breakdown structure aligned with the WBS. Communication and stakeholder management were formalized through detailed plans. The communication plans specified the format, frequency, and audience for every type of project communication, from weekly status reports for the project team to monthly steering committee presentations for senior leadership. The stakeholder engagement plan outlined strategies for keeping all parties informed and involved, including workshops and regular feedback sessions. Finally, the risk management plan was expanded significantly, with a detailed analysis of each risk and the development of specific response strategies. Procurement plans were also finalized, leading to the creation of a formal request for proposal to be sent to shortlisted LIS vendors. This comprehensive, integrated planning effort created a robust and realistic blueprint for success. The execution phase is where the meticulously crafted plans are put into action. This is the stage where, honestly, the bulk of the project's budget is spent and its deliverables are produced. Our primary focus during this phase was directing and managing the project work according to the plan. The project team, guided by the work breakdown structure and the schedule, began its tasks. The procurement process was completed, and the chosen LIS vendor was onboarded. Teams worked on configuring the new system, installing the necessary hardware, and developing the complex data migration scripts. The integration of all 9 pillars was no longer a theoretical exercise, but a daily reality of managing the project's dynamic environment. Scope management during execution was all about control. A formal change control process was implemented. When a stakeholder requested a new feature, for instance, a custom report not included in the original scope, the request was submitted through a change request form. The project manager then assessed the impact of this change on the schedule, cost, and resources. This structured approach prevented scope creep, the uncontrolled expansion of project requirements that can derail timelines and budgets. All approved changes were formally documented and communicated to all stakeholders, ensuring everyone remained aligned with the current project scope. Resource management was critical. The project manager worked continuously to acquire, develop, and manage the project team. Regular team meetings were held not only to track progress, but also to foster collaboration and resolve interpersonal conflicts. The performance of the LIS vendor was also managed closely against the terms of the contract, which is a key aspect of procurement management. Quality assurance activities were performed concurrently with the work. For example, as software modules were configured, they underwent peer reviews and unit testing to ensure they met the predefined quality standards. This proactive approach to quality helped catch defects early, reducing the cost and effort of rework later. Communication was the lifeblood of the execution phase. The project manager diligently followed the communication plan, distributing weekly status reports, updating the project dashboard, and holding regular progress meetings. Stakeholder engagement strategies were actively implemented. We held hands-on workshops where lab technicians could see the new system and provide early feedback. This not only helped refine the system, but also built a sense of ownership and excitement among the end users. Throughout this phase, the project plan was the single source of truth, but it was a living document, constantly being updated to reflect the reality on the ground while maintaining control over the 9 pillars. The monitoring and control phase runs in parallel with execution, acting as the project's nervous system. It involves continuously tracking, reviewing, and regulating the project's progress and performance against the plan. This is where we ensure that the project stays on track, and when it deviations, that we take corrective action quickly. A key tool here was the project management dashboard. This visual tool provided a real-time, at-a-glance view of key performance indicators for schedule and cost. We used earned value management to get an integrated view, comparing the planned value, earned value, and actual cost to assess performance and forecast future outcomes. Controlling the project meant actively managing the 9 pillars. For scope, we validated that the work being done matched the approved work breakdown structure. Any deviations were managed through the change control process. For schedule, we tracked our progress against the Gantt chart baseline. If a task was falling behind, we analyzed the cause and implemented corrective actions, such as reallocating resources or adjusting dependencies. Cost control involved tracking expenses against the budget and updating financial forecasts. If we were trending over budget, we would review spending and identify areas where savings could be made without compromising quality or scope. Risk management was a continuous process. The risk register was not a static document. It was reviewed in every weekly team meeting. We monitored for known risks, implemented the planned responses when necessary, and scanned the horizon for new risks. For example, when a key data migration expert unexpectedly went on leave, a resource risk, we immediately enacted our contingency plan by bringing in a pre-identified backup consultant. Quality control was also paramount. We conducted formal inspections and testing, including the critical user acceptance testing, where lab staff tested the system in a controlled environment to ensure it met their needs and the quality criteria. Stakeholder engagement and communication were closely monitored. We used feedback forms and informal conversations to gauge stakeholder satisfaction and address any concerns proactively. If we noticed a particular department was disengaged, we would adjust our communication strategy to better meet their needs. The project manager's role was akin to a ship's captain, constantly checking the instruments, our monitoring tools, watching the weather, meaning the project environment, and making small adjustments to the helm or corrective actions to ensure the project stayed on course toward its destination. This disciplined cycle of measure, compare, and correct was fundamental to navigating the complexities of the project successfully. The project closure phase is the final formal step in the project lifecycle. It is not simply about stopping the work, it is about ensuring a smooth transition, formally accepting the outcome, and capturing the knowledge gained for future endeavors. The first critical activity was securing formal acceptance of the project deliverables. This was achieved through a final sign-off from the project sponsor and key stakeholders, confirming that the new LIS met all the requirements outlined in the scope and passed the rigorous user acceptance testing. This formal acceptance was the trigger to transition the system from the project team to the hospital's operational IT support team. With the project formally accepted, we proceeded with procurement closure. This involved finalizing all payments to the LIS vendor and formally closing the contract. We reviewed the vendor's performance against the contractual obligations and documented any successes or shortcomings for future procurement decisions. All project documentation, including the final system configuration, user manuals, and training materials, was archived in a central repository. This ensures that the hospital has a complete record of the system and can support it effectively long after the project team has disbanded. This meticulous record-keeping is a cornerstone of good governance and compliance. A vital part of closure is releasing the project resources. The project team members were formally released back to their operational roles or assigned to new projects. Their contributions were officially recognized in a project closure ceremony, an important step for morale and for acknowledging the hard work and dedication that went into the project. This event also served as a final, positive point of contact with stakeholders, reinforcing the success of the collaboration. We also conducted a final stakeholder satisfaction survey to quantitatively measure how well we met their expectations and to identify any lingering concerns that needed to be addressed by the operational teams. Perhaps the most valuable activity in the closure phase is conducting a lessons learned workshop. The entire project team and key stakeholders came together to discuss what went well, what did not, and why. We analyzed our performance across all 9 pillars. Was our initial budget accurate? Did our risk responses work as planned? Could our communication have been better? All these insights were documented in a lessons learned report. This document is an invaluable asset for the organization, providing a practical knowledge base that will help improve the planning and execution of all future IT projects, ensuring the organization continuously improves its project management maturity. The successful implementation of this hospital laboratory information system stands as a testament to a powerful, truth-disciplined, integrated project management is not a bureaucratic overhead, but the essential ingredient for success in complex healthcare IT initiatives. By systematically applying the 9 pillars of project management – scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders – at every stage of the project lifecycle, we transformed a daunting challenge into a predictable and manageable process. This structured approach provided the control and foresight necessary to navigate obstacles, manage change, and deliver on our promises to the organization. For business leaders, the value of this integrated methodology is immense. It moves project delivery from the realm of hope and guesswork into the domain of strategic execution. The consistent focus on scope and quality ensures that the final product is not only compliant but also fit for purpose, directly supporting the hospital's mission of excellent patient care. Rigorous management of schedule and cost provides financial predictability and ensures that the investment delivers value within the expected timeframe. The project is no longer a black box, but a transparent process where progress and performance are visible, and decisions are made based on data, not intuition. Furthermore, the emphasis on the softer pillars, stakeholders, communication, and resources, is what truly elevates a project from a technical success to an organizational one. By actively managing stakeholder expectations and maintaining open lines of communication, we built trust and fostered a collaborative environment. This ensured that the new system was not just implemented, but embraced by the people who use it every day. Proactive risk management protected the project from potential derailments, providing a level of resilience that is critical in the high-stakes world of healthcare. This holistic approach guarantees that all facets of the project are given the attention they deserve. Ultimately, the disciplined integration of these 9 pillars delivers more than just a successful project. It builds organizational capability. The lessons learned, the refined processes, and the strengthened relationships become part of the hospital's institutional knowledge, making future projects even more successful. For any business leader contemplating a significant IT investment, the message is clear. Success is not a matter of chance. It is the direct result of a commitment to a proven systematic project management framework that harmonizes every element of the project to achieve a single unified goal. This is how we build reliable systems, ensure compliance, drive efficiency, and achieve unparalleled stakeholder satisfaction.